We're back in the heat on Calderis Desert, and we've got an AFK Man of Faith now. The joking is back, thank goodness. Man of Faith, Excalibur, do you guys remember this guy? I feel like I have not seen this fella play the game in so long. I find it very fitting, though, that he's running around with this Black Templars? Is it a Black Templars skin? I'm so bad with Space Marine chapters. I think it's Black Templars. Anyway, I'll forget it because I'm probably wrong. But yeah, he's got this lovely skin. He's got the bucket head, basically, which kind of looks cool. It's very European medieval, isn't it? On the Force Commander, he's going to be fighting Tenso and his Commando Knob. Commando Knob here, finding scouts, probably just wants to force melee and exploit his very powerful 100% fire on the move, 35 DPS piercing gun. But he's not going to, apparently, he's just going to shoot. But you should go into melee because when they retreat, you've got more chance of killing a model. Unfortunately, the Commando Knob there stuck his gun into this guy's ass and he needed to go into that guy to kill him. So that's sad. He's attempting to take the power node there, but Man of Faith is privy to it, going to be noding that power. Man of Faith not going for the second scout initially here. We'll have to see what he's doing. You know, 2 tacks is an option, not a very good one, mind you, and not a very popular one in this day and age and the meta, but who knows what Man of Faith is going to do. Tex is a very old school player. He's been playing the game longer than I have, so we're talking over 11 years. Very old school player. So yeah, God knows what he's going to do. Possibly a 1-1-1-1 build, but then if he was going to be doing that, you would expect to see more gens. So I'm expecting double tax out of him right now. Somehow the scouts over here got caught in melee by the Slugger Boys. Clearly a little bit of miss micro there from Tex, focusing too much on his Force Commander, the rusty old sod. And Tactical Marines are going to be rotating back over to save the power farm. Very inefficient play here, though, from Tex. To have his tax all the way down here, tax obviously an expensive squad, 450 requisition, basically on par with 2 of these boys. A little bit cheaper than 2 boys. But they're only average speed, you know? Speed 5, so you're wasting a lot of time rotating them from all the way here back to the gen farm, but he is going to protect it somewhat. You know, Tenso got the node bash, but couldn't actually decap it, so the node is going to now be finished, opting for a pain boy, which is... I love the tooltip here. It's a doc! Run! Imagine running from the doctor. It's not the dentist. A bit of a swing and a miss there on the stun bomb. I thought it was going to land perfectly just below, but it was a bit too high. What's going on over here? Just scouts, just scouts. Capping the map as they do. So it is Devastators for Man of Faith, and those Devastators are going to be going down the left-hand side there, but, you know, there's only scouts over there to support them. If Tax were on that side, then you could get Attack Flamer and bash the gens with the devs protecting the Attack Flamer from behind, especially because Tenso has opted for a Pain Boy rather than Storm Boys here. So we'll see. Burners now up on the Slugger Boys, going to be using Burn the House, and they start burning the house, and the Tactical Marines have to promptly get out of there and retreat. Force Commander staying in play for quite some time here. Lucky special. Might be able to actually bleed a food models. No, not very much. He just retreats. Yeah, it actually gets quite low, so probably a good idea that he didn't stay in and try to bleed new models there. It's tricky to account for damage over time. The blade here of the Pain Boy, I don't know what the weapon's actually called. Is it just like a Pain Boy chopper? Don't know. Anyway, it does damage over time, so you've got to retreat a little bit sooner against that thing than you might anticipate when you're watching the DPS that it inflicts on the health bar. But again, a lot of pressure here from Tenso. Going to be bashing the node once again. Okay, that's why Tex just immediately drops down 2 gens. Of course, these gens would be delayed even further if he had to wait for another node to be rebuilt. He does have this node down here, which is giving him a little bit of power income, and he's setting up his Devastator in a nice position here. It's going to be quite difficult to flank it. Presumably he's got good line of sight here, so he can see an enemy and shoot them for quite some time as they move across. We have to be a very big flank all the way across the top of here. So it's nice because he has that VP, and you can see that he's getting a nice little VP lead because of it. He's held the mid for quite some time. Tenso not been focusing on the VPs, really been trying to put on some of that pressure onto the power farm. But Tenso dropping a lot of resources right now into his shooter boys, going for double shooter knobs on those boys. I find that a bit strange against double Devastators, and in general Like, the shooter knob's very good for ranged trading. He contributes a bit of DPS, sure, but the main thing is he makes your squad way tankier. And it's not just the health on the knob himself, but it's the fact that he is die last. So he really can help you distribute the damage across all your boys and reduce your bleed. Great for range trading. Still going to get shut down by Devastators. Still going to bleed the Force Commander. I'd rather have big shooters against the Force Commander to just kill him faster and focus fire him down. And big shooters with their aiming, watch that, would be very nice against the Devastators as well, to control their suppression, especially if you're moving your shooters in pairs. But he's not doing that. And in general, I feel like investing a lot of upgrades into shooter boys is a bit weird against Space Marines, especially Space Marines that have not invested heavily in their scouts. Because, well, Space Marines are heavy infantry, they have a natural resistance to piercing damage. Space Marines can get Stern Guard in tier 2, really punish your ranged units as the Orc. What's the best counter to Stern Guard? Well, you either blast them with a Weird Boy from afar, or you get into melee with them. In which case, you know, the shooter boys are irrelevant. So I find it all very odd. But anyway, that's what Tenso's doing, and yeah, I mean, he's got really good map control right now, there's no doubt about it, but I just feel like if he didn't invest all those resources into the... Ooh, could be a potential... Nope, I was going to say potential retreat grenade. Definitely could have been from Tex, didn't see the opportunity, perhaps not that familiar with this map. I don't know how much of this map he's played, it's not a new map. But I guess for Tex, it's a relatively new map. You know, if a map was made in the last 3 years, he probably isn't that familiar with it. So an attempted use of Eyed the Boys there from the Commander knob, but going to be just a total failure because scouts are right there in position. But this is nice. Good heal over time there from the Pain Boy. Now we've got some aiming, watch that! Going on the Devastator is going to shut them up for a little bit. The Slugger Boys are attempting to move in. And with the Pain Boy and the Slugger Boys to focus fire, that's too much for the Devastators. They're going to retreat out of there. Slugger Boys staying in play right now because they're down to 2 models, but that means they've still got 2 burners. And that can burn down some generators. Wow. Killed a Tactical Marine very early there. I guess that guy was just out of the cover. Kind of crazy though, you know, you see sometimes free models and Tactical Marines going home to base when the squad's on 100 HP. They just lost a model there on like 800 HP. What's going on down here? We got Devastators again hiding in the garrison from the Commander knob. Interesting, the Commander knob's getting wrecked by those Devastators. Will he get out alive? He must have retreated, yeah, because he's not taking much damage. And Tenso is going to back off. Tenso is already tier 2, going to be getting his Weird Boy. I guess not realizing how far ahead he is in tech. If he went for a Death Dread now, this would probably be GG, because he'd get the full bash. Maybe Man of Faith can get a Razorback out with his little surplus by the time this would happen, but you know, you just go for the Weird Boy and some tank busters and you're good. You can ride that to tier 2 and Tex's economy is basically shut down then. Tier 3, not tier 2. Somewhat risky play here. Devastator's running for the garrison again. They're going to get in it. But there are sluggers coming and a Weird Boy, and these Devastators are probably dead now. Yep. Weird Boy actually does very good anti-garrison damage. You see that there. Notice how even though they left the building, because they hadn't D-set up and another model was inside it, they take full damage. Whoa, Giblets flying out the building. What the fuck? More? What's going on in there? Hello? Strange. Strange game. Force Commander just capping on his own down the side there. I'm not really sure about that either. I really feel like that would be the job of the scouts, especially when there's no jump squad that the scouts need to counter-initiate. Your Devastators don't really need the scouts nearby. I guess he could be scared of Hide the Boys. Now that the sluggers have got a slugger knob on them, they're a lot more scary. Same play a little bit there. Very lucky that the explosive shot on the sluggers there knocked over the Weird Boy. That should have been a pretty brutal hit there on the scouts, and that second attack from the Weird Boy would have been pretty brutal as well, but nice timing on the retreat there. If the scouts took that damage, they'd probably have lost about half their HP, or at least 40%, but then they would have been in a vulnerable position retreating through the sluggers and would have lost more models. So going to be a Librarian here from Man of Faith. Very interesting. Librarian into a drop pod could be cool. Drop pod into Stern Guard, you know. That could be nice. Get a nice range composition. Obviously, the Librarian here is going to have that Veil of Time. Oh, he's got a Stern Guard squad already. Okay, no drop pod then, I assume. So you got Veil of Time with your Librarian. That can help you counter the Weird Boy a bit better, because not requiring setup enables you to dodge his attacks a lot easier. Force Commander, no upgrades in the middle of a shooter blob here. That was not very good stun bomb. And the ranged Bobbin Marines is going to force off the Sluggers here. Okay, here comes the comeback for Tex, maybe. Honestly, not that far behind in VP somehow. I guess he really had control of the mid and the natural of Tenso, didn't he, for a long time at the start of the game, while Tenso was focusing on the generator situation. Tenso going to be opting for a little bit of a vehicle player now, grabbing that war truck. That will be quite helpful for him because it's going to force a response in terms of the Devastators, probably. Not necessarily though, because you could see the Power Fist on the Force Commander combined with the Veil of Time in tandem with the Vengeance rounds of the Stern Guard. That's a decent amount of soft AV. The war truck is very frail, albeit very fast. So you could try and kill it with just that stuff. Really though, if Tenso plays it properly, you shouldn't be able to kill a war truck with the Power Fist, Force Commander and Kraken round Stern Guard, even with Veil of Time. It shouldn't happen. War truck is faster than any other transport in the game. So really you need a snare. So if you had ASM, you know, with the jump into Melter Bomb combo, then I think it would be very easy to kill the war truck with Power Fist or Kraken rounds. But anyway, here we go. Big engagement, beautiful heal over time there from the Pain Boy, negating so much damage that came out from the ranged firepower there. Now the Sluggers are going to be hunting down the scouts here, but it's okay, the Pain Boy is in melee with the Stern Guard, so they retreat out too. I was going to say, generally you want your Sluggers hunting the Stern Guard. The Stern Guard are going to output a lot more damage, they can't flee as fast, and scouts, yeah, they're just a pain. Nice Snare Spike, kills one model. But another heal from the Pain Boy. Look at that. Slugger's back to full HP. Pain Boy putting in some work here in spite of going up against Devastators. Seems a bit strange. I think the Pain Boy into Storm Boys with just naked shooters running around would have been a really good build for Tenso here. I'm still not convinced that these shooters have been worth it with their shooter knobs. Now picked up the big shooters as well. I find it odd. Okay, this is really weird. He has now chosen, has Tenso, to go for the Commando Knife in Tier 2, along with the better combat kit, which functions essentially as a tanky melee hero for this guy. Tanky melee hero armor. 3 HP per second is kind of nuts on a ranged hero, but pretty handy when you go in melee. 175 max HP boost as well. Perhaps using it to try and hunt down the Librarian, but he has a lot of HP. I don't know how effective this is going to be. You see he's basically taking no damage right now. That's because he's activated Quickening, which gives him 90% damage resistance and knockback immunity for a whopping 4 seconds. Actually quite good for a free invulnerability ability on that hero, basically. I mean, it's technically not invulnerability, but 90% DR, guys, that is basically invulnerability. Stern Guard here going to be attempting to take some green cover. Now this would be very annoying to deal with were it not for the fact that Tenso has access to the Weird Boy here. And look at that, Weird Boy instantly hitting those Stern Guard, knocking him out of cover and giving 2 models, facilitating the Slugger Boys getting in. But yeets! The Slugger Knob there does the Force Commander. A Whirlwind is the play for Tex. Where's the truck? Okay, the truck nearly died. Wow. 9 HP on the truck, super low. Would actually get killed by a grenade right now. That might have been a play for Tex, but not going to go for it. I'm assuming that the war truck there got hit by a hunter killer missile from the Whirlwind. Can't dodge that shit. It's on a long cooldown though, but he's going to need some repairs. Sluggers are busy over here, charging down Devastators. Ooh, could be a bad situation for the Pain Boy right now. Force Commander is putting in some big damage onto him, and the Force Commander kills him. No for the Emperor required in that instance. The little heal there from the Pain Boy not good enough because it's not much of a big heal up front. It's definitely more about the heal over time with that Pain Boy heal. I don't know why the Pain Boy was dueling a Force Commander. That was not a very good situation for him. Presumably just a little bit of a micro slip up there from Tenso. And whilst the damage per hit is amazing on the Power Fist, it's not that great in melee duels because it doesn't have very good specials. So Slugger Boys are going to be able to force them off there. Now, an attempted zap on the Force Commander, but honestly just going to hurt his own guys more. Wow, might even lose the Commando Knob to the damage over time with the Hellfire rounds, and he does. So a bit of a trade going in there. Well, in fact, no, the Force Commander didn't even die, so that was a really good engagement for Tex. Tex really needs to get more power up, man. Feels like he's been super power starved for a lot of the game. In general, though, his map control right now is really struggling. Though I say that, he's actually ahead in VPs. Tenso going to take this opportunity to get tier 3. Relatively light tier 2 from Tenso. You know, Knob, Weird Boy, Truck. No armor on the truck, so this truck is super cheap. Literally costs him 40 power, that's it. But it's nice, you know, Tex, too many T's. Tex hasn't actually got any serious AV, you know, he never did opt for the last cannon, so he's still able to get the utility of this heavy bolter. Devastator. Wow. Double whirlwinds. This is the old classic. Now, whirlwinds are capped at 2. The reason whirlwinds are capped at 2 is because once you get 3 whirlwinds, you can very easily start one-shotting transports from basically across the map with hunt-killer missiles. But even without 3, the war truck is so fragile, if it ever exposes its rear armor to a pair of whirlwinds and their hunter-killer missiles, then that could be an instantly killed war truck. Is this a drop pod with tactical space marines as well? Oh my god, it is. Wow, this is a great little army from Tex. A tier 2 army. Honestly, a tank right now would probably have been amazing for Tenso rather than commandos. Even Knobs, I don't think would have been that bad. It's a little bit annoying because you're using a melee unit against double whirlwinds, but still, there's not really anything to kill them. I guess a plasma gun could come out on the tactical space marines. I like the composition here from Tex, so it's a really good tier 2 comp. You know, he's got the sacred standard here, so it's buffing up the double attacks and their damage, who are going to be blobbing around the Force Commander. And Battlecry goes in there, so every special attack is going to be buffing the tactical space marines damage, in addition to the damage boost that you get from the sacred standard. But this is a lot of ranged firepower, and apparently Tex doesn't want this scrap. I guess with the Weird Boy still being present in the back line, is able to disrupt your range. It's a bit awkward. Needs to fall back to the support of his whirlwind. Oh shit, misclicked. So, whirlwinds are now in firing range. Going to be causing a bit of disruption. Whirlwinds not really known for their high damage. They're definitely more of a disruption unit. So if the whirlwinds are knocking over the enemy troops whilst you're in a firefight, well, if you're knocked over, you're not shooting, are you? So that'd be a decent situation. But that was Love the Daka used to knock over the Devastator. Not Burner Bomb though. But yeah, the Orcs are just brute forcing their way through with the support of the Weird Boy in the back lines there. Whirlwind's very much negated, and now the truck drives in and starts reinforcing the Lost Boys. Very good truck play here from Tenso. Getting that on-field reinforcement without having to waste resources upgrading his truck, even when he's threatened by Kraken rounds, Power Fist, and now double Hunter-Killer missiles as well. But good play from Tex, constantly harassing the natural VP of Tenso. Tenso's trying to bite back, stuck the natural VP of Tex at the moment. He's got shooters in the mid capping, whilst the commandos are screening. A little bit of artillery harassment here from the Weird Boy. Beautiful whirlwind shots there though. Look at that, knocking the commandos forward into the ranged blob of the Marines, and that's gonna, you know, because they want to stay in play rather than retreating, they're gonna take a lot of range damage, and it actually leads to the Commando Knob being killed. Which is quite an expensive loss. I think Tenso realizes, I think he went for the commandos, hoping to get some nice sneaky attack on the whirlwind, but then there was 2 whirlwinds, and just, I don't know, good defensive play from Tex in general. I think he realizes, this is not going to work. Actually, what I need is a looted tank, which is a correct assessment, and he's going to be going for that looted tank now. And they shall know no fear activated on the tactical space marines. It's going to make them be able to hold off pretty damn effectively against the sluggers, especially when they're getting the boost from the sacred standard and the support of whirlwinds here. Whirlwinds are quite unique in that another reason why they don't do a lot of damage is that for some reason their attacks do not cause any friendly fire, so they're actually very good for... Whoa, where did the Force Commander just go? Wow, teleported the Force Commander forward with Gate of Infinity. Interesting, so that Devastators can take the cap in the mid? Okay. I don't know what I was saying before that. Really just stole my thunder right there. Oh yeah, whirlwinds don't do friendly fire, so they're particularly good against melee units, because you shoot them at melee units when the melee units are in melee with your boys. Your boys don't get knocked over, but the enemy do, and obviously in a melee fight, knockback is extremely strong, because in general in melee fights the DPS levels are higher, so any instance in which you're vulnerable and can't get out, and not attacking at the same time, is going to be quite influential. There you go, double hunter killer missile, check that out. So they were both frontal. You see the damage that did, quite a bit. Got the line of sight there with the scouts that were infiltrated, which is a nice play from Tex. So getting a bit of chip damage here onto the whirlwinds. We've now got a missile launcher tactical space marine that's going to be trying to zone out the looted tank, but wow, taking so much damage there from the slugger boys prior to the whirlwind finally disrupting them. But yeah, a lot of slugger boys killed there, only 5 however, versus the, what, 3 tacks died? Yeah, damn, 2 tacks and the sergeant, not great. Librarian once again Gate of Infinitying the Force Commander, who's now got the Veil of Time on him, going to be putting some pressure on the Shooter Boys who have capped the VP. I just realised Tenso's only got 26 VPs left, wow. Very low VPs for Tenso. Needs to make sure he doesn't lose that natural. Right now he's actually got very good map control. Kind of got Tex pushed back to the base. Not anything to contest the Force Commander, but it looks like the Force Commander is going to be coming back to the natural VP. Sorry, not the natural VP, the natural power farm of Tex. Yeah, wants to meet up with his tactical marines and his stern guard, buff up their range damage with his sacred standard. Now we've got commandos infiltrated here, doing a bit of spotting for Tenso. Probably does want to be getting that... wait, where did... Oh, the loot tank is still in play, good. I wasn't sure if it died then, because I couldn't see it on the roster. But no, he's just got that big of an army. Just going to say, probably wants to get the knob on the commandos, send them around the back, and attempt to attack the whirlwinds with them. But potentially a big fight here. These tacks are blobbing up hard. Easy warp vomit. Love the Dakar into a warp vomit potentially, but very late on the warp vomit. Now getting thrown around by the weird boy, and for some reason Commando's not tying up the Devastators here, which is suppressing the weird boy. The Force Commander gets taken out by all the ranged firepower, but the Commando's doing a lot of damage in melee. Not able to finish off the Devastators. 2 HP left, of course. If they stayed in combat a little bit longer, they would have killed the Devastators, but potentially would have gone down themselves to the focus fire of the Marines. Whirlwind's moving up quite aggressively right now. Loot Tank isn't full HP yet, but he's not so low that he's going to die to a couple of Hunter Killers. Here come the Hunter Killers, boom boom. And that was a nice little combo right there. Weird boy attack into a boom shot from the Loot Tank. Loot Tank going to be backing off right now, doesn't want to take cracking rounds or missile shots from the Marines, but the Marines are wading through so much firepower right now, and Tex calls it. Tex doesn't feel like he can push against this. You know what? Beautiful, beautiful play from Tenso, keeping the war truck around for all this time. You know what Tex should have done right there? He actually needed to destroy the war truck, not the looted tank. He needed to shoot both of the fucking anti-killer missiles at the war truck, would have destroyed it, and all this reinforcement wouldn't be occurring. You know, get your scouts running down the side, take this natural VP. I definitely think Tex could have won that, but made a big mistake attacking the looted tank again and trying to get the snipe on it with a missile attack. Probably should have used For the Emperor. Look at his red. Should have been spamming For the Emperor anyway, but probably should use For the Emperor. Hit the looted tank with one missile hit to drop it down. Tenso still feels safe because the looted tank's got a lot of HP, but as it's got just under 50% without its extra armor, then you can probably kill it with your double whirlwind hunter killer missile. Then you can back off and you can keep fighting and maybe have a bit of a chance. But I guess, you know, his hunter killer missiles are on cooldown again. I'm not sure how long the cooldown is. It's pretty long though. It's at least 60 seconds, maybe as high as 90 or 120. So basically that gives a big opportunity then for the looted tank just to go crazy once the Stern Guard and the attacks were that low. Even if they didn't die, they were pushed off the field, the looted tank can push through. It's going to be draining a lot of VPs for Tex. Again, I still feel like he could have attempted to rat it out. You know, he still had a Librarian defending down here. He did lose his scouts at some point. I don't know when they died. But there you go. That's going to be the game. Nice to see Orcs winning. Kind of weird for Commander Nob to be beating Space Marines. That is definitely not his job. It's a lot better with his high pacing DPS against the Xenos races. But there it is, and old Buckethead Faithful Tex coming back to grace us with his presence. Hopefully we get some more games from him in the future. Thank you for tuning in, folks. Torpid, signing out.